Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Good afternoon, everyone. We've been learning unwholesome Cittas, akusala, right? So last week we learned about the consciousness rooted in delusion, right? So actually, sometimes we translate ignorance, sometimes we translate as a delusion, right? They're the same. But Bhikkhu Pori, he will use the word avijja, ignorance, moha as a delusion, right? Actually, when I check English dictionary, the word ignorant is much better because doesn't know, right? Knowing, not knowing. Actually, moha means trying to cover the actual. It actually is. So if we are covered with the moha, we do not know. So actually, avijja actually means ignorance. Doesn't know right and wrong. Doesn't know the noble truth. Doesn't know the actual nature of mind and body, mind and matter. Right? So that's called ignorance. So here, among the three rooted consciousness, the consciousness rooted in greed with 8, right? The consciousness rooted in hatred with 2, and consciousness rooted in delusion with 3. So among them, so the last one is very important. So wherever occasion, whether we are greedy or we are angry, delusion is there. We have delusion because we do not know right and wrong, right? So therefore, as we have delusion, as we have moha, the greed and hatred arises. So therefore, the delusion or ignorance is very important. It's the root of everything, the root of unwholesome deed, right? I think this Sutta is really beautiful. So when we learn this Sutta, so you will understand how delusion is much more dangerous to us. So very often I give a simile. The greed and hatred are atta and atrases. Delusion is the director. It's leaving behind, right? He is directing to the atrases and attas how to act, right? But behind, he is manipulating. So therefore, delusion is very important. So this we will know it when we learn this Sutta. Ignorance is Forerunner. You know, Magga Sanyota. So when the Buddha talk about Magga, the Four Noble Truths, the Noble Eightfold Path. So this is the first Sutta mentioned. So to know about the Noble Eightfold Path, so we have to eradicate ignorance, right? So it's very important. When the Buddha talk about the Four Noble Truths, he will mention the first Sutta, avijja, right? The first Sutta. Bhikkhu's ignorance is the forerunner in the entry upon unwholesome states. Here, unwholesome states, akusala dhamma. Here we are learning Three akusala, right? Three akusala. So wherever unwholesome deeds happen in our mind, ignorance is latent. So this is very important. So ignorance, avijja is, or delusion, moha, is the forerunner in the entry upon unwholesome states, with the shamelessness and fearlessness of wrongdoing following along. So when we have ignorance, so we do not have any shame or shame. We are not fear of doing unwholesome things. Together with these two mental factors, actually in the mental factor, ahirika and anuttappa. So these are two mental factors in the 52 cetasikas, right? So what I want to say is, ignorance is the forerunner and the entry upon unwholesome states. For an unwise person immersed in ignorance, wrong view springs up. Micchadeti, very important one. We have ignorance, so therefore the wrong view came in. So actually we have been learning ignorance and wrong view, right? And they are linking. So sometimes it can be mistaken. So therefore, ignorance comes first. So if we do not know, then wrong view came in, right? Wrong view came in. For when not wrong view, wrong intention springs up. Here, if we have a wrong view, then there will be a wrong intention as well. Here, intention or thought, thinking, intention springs up. I think this two links is very important because of ignorance. Ignorance, moha, is the root of all unwholesome states. So if we have ignorance, so we have a wrong view. So if we have a wrong view, then wrong intention comes in, right? Or when not wrong intention, wrong speech springs up. So we are using unwholesome speeches because we have a wrong intention inside, right? First, ignorance comes in. We do not know, then therefore our view also wrong. Wrong view. Then based on wrong view, we have a wrong intention, wrong thinking, right? Wrong thinking. So if we have a wrong thinking, wrong intention, then wrong speech, wrong action, wrong livelihood, wrong effect, wrong mindfulness. For when not wrong mindfulness, wrong concentration springs up. Actually, is a how to say, the unnoble eightfold path, not noble eightfold path, right? The unnoble eightfold path. Everything comes from ignorance, right? So therefore, ignorance is very important. So based on that, wrong view, wrong intention, wrong speech, wrong action, wrong livelihood, wrong effect, wrong mindfulness, and wrong concentrations. So based on that, we have a lot of problems, right? So therefore, ignorance is forerunner. So based on that, we will learn the link between greed, hatred, and delusion, right? And how to remove. Actually, not difficult. So if you want to remove greed, try to practice non-greed. Trying to read now, give away. Actually, we have learned how to remove hatred, right? So there are 5 ways of removing hatred. Uprooting 3 unwholesome roots. Right view, samadhi, remove ignorance. Here, right view. As you know, we have a 3 unwholesome root, right? Right view. So if we have a right view, that means we have a wrong. We remove wrong understanding. That we can call it ignorance, right? ignorance. Right intention removes greed and hatred. So if we do not have right intention but wrong intention, so that means we don't have here hatred and greed and hatred. So this is very important. The Noble Eightfold Path, the first one is right view, right? Second one is right intention. So if we have a right view, automatically we removed ignorance or delusion. So based on that, based on right view, we will have a right understanding or right intention. Based on right understanding, we will have a right intention or right thought. So right thought means lack of greed and hatred. So that means if we do not have greed and hatred in our mind, that means we have a right intention. Right? Right intention. I think we need to understand three kinds of right intention. Right? So what is right intention? Number one, renunciation, nekkhamma, non-greed. Actually, we have 6 types of roots, right? 6 types of roots: greed, hatred, and delusion as the unwholesome root. Non-greed, non-hatred, non-delusion. These are the root of wholesome deed. So here, renunciation, nekkhamma, non-greed. Number 2, non-ewe, abhidhamma. Abhidhamma, sometimes we can call it loving kindness. So loving kindness is the opposite of hatred. Number 3, harmlessness, ahimsa. We call it compassion. So if you have a compassion, that means you don't have hatred. So number 1 is the lack of non-greed. Number 2 and 3 are non-hatred. 2 and 3 are no hatred. Actually, it's linking, right? So we can study Three Unwholesome Roots comparing with the Noble Eightfold Path, right? Noble Eightfold Path. So actually, right understanding or right view remove ignorance. So we have learned, right? Not understanding wholesome and unwholesome, not understanding Four Noble Truths, right? Like this. And based on right understanding or right view, so we have a right intention. So right intention means nothing but three kinds: renunciation, non-ewe, harmlessness. So these can be called non-greed, non-hatred, right? No hatred. No hatred. So this one is non-delusion. The first one is non-delusion. Right view is non-delusion, right? Renunciation. Sometimes we use letting go. Letting go. Actually, in Pali Canon, so the graduate discourses is mentioned. 6 steps of graduate discourses is mentioned. So number 1 is called dana, generosity. Actually, is number 1. It's easy, right? So give away whatever you have, anyone to anyone. That is called dana. Sila is a moral contact. Moral contact. You try to control your bodily and verbal behavior. So that's called sila. Much more difficult, right? Then third one is talking about heavenly realms or talking about a good destinations. So if you practice dana and sila, so you can get a good destination. Then number 3. Then after that, the Buddha may talk number 4. Danger of sensual desires. Danger of sensual desires. Actually, we have enjoyment, a lot of enjoyments in our life, right? With our eye, ear, and body, like this. A lot of enjoyments, right? Here, the danger of sensual desires. or this one. Normal people may not like it, right? May not like it. So therefore, one of the Brahmin at the time of the Buddha said that renunciation is a dividing line between lay devotees and monks, right? Lay devotee, of course, you can enjoy with the sins, it's okay. But for monks, so we have to practice renunciation. We have to let go a lot, as much as possible, right? So therefore, that Brahmin said that renunciation is dividing line between the lay devotees and monks, right? So here, the danger of sensual desire, who have a higher disposition or a higher level of wisdom. So the Buddha may talk this one, the danger of sensual pleasures. So sensual pleasures are dangerous. The Buddha giving so many examples, right? And number 5, the profit of renunciation. So if you can renounce sensual pleasure, you will have a lot of benefit, right? If you let go sense desire, so you have a lot of profit. So this is number 5. Number 6 is the special summon of the Buddha. That is Noble Eightfold Path. Four Noble Truth. Four Noble Truth. So these are gradual discourse. So what I want to say is, here, renunciation means the profit of renunciation. Renunciation. So what is renunciation? Abandoning desire and lust in 6 internal sense base and 6 external sense base is called renunciation. It's quite easy. Renunciation means you're trying to abandon your desire, your lust, your craving, toward 6 internal sense base or 6 external sense base. Sometimes we have a lot of enjoyment with the one eye, with the one ear, right? Here, eye is internal one. Thing that we see is external one. Ear is internal one. So thing that we hear is external one. So try to let go, try to renounce, right? Try to control. That's renunciation. Is it easy? Not easy. For that reason, lay devotee have to come to temple full moon and new moon day to practice renunciation, right? But here in Singapore, we don't have. In Burma, in Thailand, people come to temple and they observe 8 precepts, and they will stay in the temple the whole day, listening the Dhamma talk, and listening the Dhamma talk and discussing, and also doing meditation like this. So in this way, they try to renounce for one day. They are practicing renunciation, right? Not easy to practice every day as a lay devotee. For a monks, we have to try our best to renounce all the time. We have to renounce, give up, to enjoy with the eye, right? Therefore, we are not allowed to watch movie or not allowed to listen music. That's renunciation, right? That's renunciation. So therefore, for us, no need to go to cinema. No time. I think no need to spend time for watching movies or listening music. It's very good, right? Without movie, without songs, we can stay, right? I'm happy with this. So therefore, the profit of renunciation. People think that without watching movie, without listening music, they were not happy. Actually, not like this, not like this. So happiness can be obtained in many ways, right? Many ways. So here, okay. Of course, yes. Factor, yes. Yeah, of course. Different level of abandonment, right? Different level, of course. When you are just keeping a precept, when you are just keeping 5 precepts, right? You renounce 5 things, right? Trying to renounce killing, trying to renounce taking the desire, right? Taking what is not given. You renounce the desire to commit sexual misconduct. So it's also a kind of renunciation. So you are doing dharana, you're trying to renounce, right, what you have. That's also renunciation. Different level of renunciation. Of course, so when you abandon nivarana, 5 nivaranas, or that can be you can attain jhana, right? You can attain jhana. Of course, without renouncing sensual pleasures, without abandoning evil, you cannot attain jhana, right? You cannot attain jhana. So therefore, different level of jhana. So if you cannot renounce, don't worry, it's okay. Nothing wrong with this, right? Nothing wrong with this. Therefore, renunciation is dividing line between religious person and normal people, right? But if you can renounce as much as you can, and you will have profit, right? The profit of renunciation. Actually, here, renunciation is not difficult. Abandoning desire and lust in since internal sense basis. So you're trying to renounce your desire. So when you see something, especially unwholesome things, right? So you're trying to abandon or renounce desire or listening unwholesome things like this, right? So that's called renunciation. So renunciation is nothing but the opposite of greed. We can call it non-greed, right? Non-greed. Here, non-evil or non-hatred, non-harming, avihimsa. So these two are called non-hatred. Non-evil, from right intention, is the positive mental state that dispels the aversion toward the objects. When we talk about anger or hatred, not very clear. So when we learn in this way, much more clearer. So here, hatred is aversion or dislike toward the objects. So here, the object can be anything. Object that you see, that you hear, right? Suppose you hear something. Here, evil or hatred here. Right? But you hear something unpleasant. You hear unpleasant things, unpleasant songs. You see unpleasant people or unpleasant things. But here, no hatred, no evil. That means you have this quality, non-evil, non-evil. In other words, we can call it adosa, no hatred, right? I think we have to observe our mind to develop or to cultivate those good qualities. So when we see something, try not to be angry or irritated or evil, even slight amount of evil. If you stay happy, not good, right? So therefore, the opposite of hatred is compassion, loving kindness, or non-evil. So you try to dispel the aversion toward the objects. So I think it's a very important one. So in this way, you can try to reduce the amount of negative emotion or hatred. Abhyapara. If the objects are sentient beings. Non-ego is called loving kindness, according to Abhidhamma, not according to suttas. But of course, many suttas show that. So if we practice loving, if we do not have ego here, so regarding with the sentient beings, so that we call it loving kindness. If the objects are things, it is called non-hatred, adosa. This is according to Abhidhamma. So if we practice, suppose we see somebody, then we don't have ego here. Then you generate love toward them. So that is called loving kindness, right? Suppose you love your country. You love your country. So that is, we can call it non-hatred, right? Some people do not like their country. Hatred, right? The opposite, if you like your country, no hatred. Because the country is not a living being, right? Not a living being. So therefore, when we radiate loving kindness, so it is called metta. It is included in the no hatred, but we call it loving kindness, metta, right? But when we talk about things like countries, the place, right? So these are the songs. You love the song, right? So that's all. The song is not a living being. So therefore, it is called no hatred. If you do not have hatred, it is called no hatred, according to Abhidhamma. And this line is very important. Right? So we're talking about the opposite of hatred. So if we do not have hatred, that means no hatred. So no hatred is if good deed, right? Good deed. Non-harming, avihimsa. Compassion for sentient beings. If we use for sentient beings, that is called compassion. If it is for the things, we call it non-hatred. Non-hatred. So here, compassion means we have compassion toward who are in trouble, especially who are in trouble. So we have compassion to our juniors, like this, compassion. So actually compassion is under no hatred. So if we have loving kindness and compassion, if we have non-ego and non-harming, so that means we have a good quality. That is called wholesome deed, right? So the opposite of loving kindness, the opposite of compassion is called hatred, dosa, right? Dosa. I think we can link with the Noble Eightfold Path and unwholesome trait, unwholesome deed. That's very important. So to remove three root or unwholesome deed is nothing but the Noble Eightfold Path, right? The Noble Eightfold Path, especially number 1 and 2. So we have to try to have a right understanding or right view. In this way, we can remove delusion, moha. So if we have right view, then we have right intention. So if we have a right intention, that means we don't have greed and hatred. So that means we have good qualities. So if you have a right intention, wherever you say, wherever you do will be good. Right speech and right action and right livelihood as well. The right effort, right mindfulness and right concentrations. If you're practicing the Noble Eightfold Path, lead to Nibbana, right? Lead to Nibbana. So up to now, we have been learning unwholesome consciousness, 12 unwholesome consciousness. Number 1, consciousness rooted in greed, lobha mula citta. Consciousness rooted in hatred, Dosa Mula Citta, we have 2. Consciousness rooted in delusion, we have 2, another 2. Actually, we can call it three consciousness rooted in delusion. We can call it three consciousness rooted in delusion. But the last two Cittas are purely related, associated with delusion. So therefore, divided into 3. Is there any question up to now? Any question? And then we finished 3 unwholesome Cittas. I hope you understand, right? Okay, so let's go to the next one. So we have 80 rootless consciousness. Rootless consciousness. The root of a tree, right? The root of a tree. The root is very important. Without the root, the tree cannot survive, right? So there are 80 rootless consciousness. Ahetuka Citta. So the one ahetuka means without root. No root, right? No root. These consciousness, such as eye consciousness, ear consciousness, when we see something, eye consciousness arises. When we hear something, ear consciousness arises. So these are some of the, actually, when we eat something, tongue consciousness, right? If we smell something, if we smell something, smell consciousness. Sorry? Oh, nose consciousness. Nose consciousness. If we touch something, body consciousness, right? Like this. So these are called rootless consciousness. Because all these are divided of 6 mental factors called hetu. Greed, hatred, delusion. We have learned, right? The root of 3 root of unwholesome actions, and non-greed, non-hatred, non-delusion. So 3 root of wholesome actions. So when all these consciousness occur in our mind, there's no greed, hatred, delusion in our mind. No, non-greed, no hatred, no delusion as well. So when these consciousness happen in our mind, there is no such a thing called root. So why these 80 types of consciousness are occurring in our mind? So they are neither wholesome deed or unwholesome deed, because these Cittas are called rootless. And then to understand that, we need to understand about our mind process, how our mind is functioning. So if we understand this, you will understand. The moment you see, there's no greed, there's no hatred. The hatred and greed follow later on, right? For that, you need to understand mind process. Actually, the mind process mentioned in Sutta Piṭaka is very clear, very clear. More than enough for your practice. But Abhidhamma, the mind process mentioned Abhidhamma are complicated, but more detailed. Of course, for those who want to know more about details about mental process, Abhidhamma, mind process is very good, right? So today we will learn about mental process in Sutta Piṭaka as well as Abhidhamma Piṭaka. Where does our mind come from? Did I teach this one in the class? Have I ever teach? No, not yet, right? Because when I talk about mind process, mental process, I use this one. Where does our mind come from? Is the question. Normally you might say that our mind comes from the brain. Our mind comes from the heart, like this. You will have such a questions. So therefore, for that question, we give the example of playing guitar. Where does the sound come from? Where is the sound? In the guitar? String? If you just keep the string, the sound will come? No. Not in the guitar, not in the hand, not in the string, right? So just like that. So the sound comes from neither from the guitar or neither from the hand, neither from the string. It comes into existence based on causes. Because with the hand, with the guitar, and with the string. Also we play. Right? There are a lot of causes. The sound, the arising of the sound. So just like that, so the mind does not exist anywhere. It doesn't exist in the brain. It is not in the body. It's not somewhere else. The mind arises based on the causes. There are so many causes. Because of those causes, mind arises. Right? Mind arises. Mind doesn't exist anywhere. Not in the brain as well. Right? So to understand this is very important one. Because we always say that everything is impermanent. Right? Everything is impermanent. So for those who become Sotapanna, I have explained, right? So for those who become Sotapanna, they understand this nature. Things that has the nature arising, right? Has the nature of cessation. The mind arises, the mind has the nature arising. And it also has the nature of cessation. Some people, your beloved one, love you so much. That loving kindness or pure love or love has the nature arising, right? Because so many causes, so many conditions, they will love you. If those conditions are not in you, they will not love you. So many causes, right? So mind arises depending on causes. So if we have to understand that, so mind has the nature arising. So therefore, it also has the nature of cessation. It will stop sometime, but you have to grow, right? You have to do it again to get love from those people. So therefore, understanding the nature of mind is very important. Mind doesn't exist anywhere, but it arises based on the causes. So let's study. This is from Visuddhimagga, mentioned Visuddhimagga. The sound exists neither in the drum nor in the hand. Actually, Visuddhimagga give the simile of drum, not a guitar. So therefore, to get better understanding, we use the guitar. Everyone play the guitar. Everyone understand, right? So here, we beat the song, right? We play the drum. We use the drum to play the song. Song exists neither in the drum nor in the hand. It also does not exist in the space between these two. The hand and the drum. The space between these two. It doesn't exist anywhere, right? It comes into being due to the causes. Number one, there is the drum. Number two, there are the hand. And there is the beating. Based on these causes, the songs arises. Give an example, right? Give an example. Mind exists neither in the I nor in the objects we see. We're talking about I consciousness, right? Because we are going to learn about rootless consciousness. So I consciousness is among them. So actually, mind does not exist here. Mind is I consciousness. Talking about I consciousness. So I consciousness exists neither in the I, that's not in the I, nor in the objects we see. It also does not exist in the space between these two. You might think that. So we see somebody, I have I. So I consciousness in between. Not like this, right? It does not exist in between as well. It comes into being due to the causes. We have I, and we have object, and we have awareness. So we have I as something to see, the objects. If we do not have awareness, cannot see, right? There is a very loud noise, like song, but you have ear. Sometimes you do not hear, right? You do not hear because you don't have awareness. So, all based on these causes, mind arises. I think it's a clear idea, right? If your eye is not good, you cannot see, right? You cannot see. If you do not have a good ear, you cannot see. There is sounds, right? There is sounds, but you don't have ear consciousness. Therefore, in Buddhism, I think up to now is still correct. I think it will be correct because the Buddha explained based on his own understanding. The Buddha used a very powerful mind, right? Very powerful psychic power, mental power, to talk about this one. Even among the scientists, they're just saying that, the mind, the brain and mind are the same. Still talking. But sometimes, loving kindness or good quality of mind comes from the heart, right? Like this. So here, this is a mind process mentioned in Sutta Piṭaka. Dependent on eyes and forms, I consciousness arises. We have I and we have forms. Form is something we can see, right? I dependent on eyes and forms. I consciousness arises. I consciousness is the mind. The medium of these three is called contact. Actually, contact is a mental contact. In Abhidhamma, we call it Citta, right? Mental factor. So the medium of these three is called contact. Depending on contact, feeling arises. Because we see something and contact. Based on contact, feeling, like or dislike, right? Depending on feeling, craving arises. Feeling, if we like, greed, lobha, right? If we do not like, hatred. This is a mental process, very easy, right? Everyone can understand. So therefore, in Sutta Piṭaka, then everywhere you will learn this one. So meditation also we have to use this one. Very easy one. You have I and forms. Then you have I consciousness will arise. So the medium of these three is called contact. So as we have a contact, you have feeling. You will have feeling, whether a good feeling or good feeling or bad feeling. So if you have a good feeling, likely to become greedy, right? likely to be greedy. If you don't like unpleasant things, hatred. So what we have to do is, so we have to develop right view or right understanding through mindfulness, right? We are meditating because we are developing mindfulness. We are looking everything with the mindfulness. So if we are mindful, we have a right understanding. If we understand, right intention. So if you have right intention, that means no greed, no hatred, no delusion, right? So depending on feeling, craving means, grasping or clinging toward the objects. You may cling toward the object with the greed or with the hatred, right? Sometimes we still remember our enemy. So someone who you do not like, right? When you are a child, clinging, your mind cling to that, right? With the hatred. So we also cling to the object with the hatred as well as greed, right? So these are mental process mentioned in Sutta Piṭaka. It's quite easy, right? If you understand this one, more than enough, right? So therefore, some scholars say that you don't need to learn Abhidhamma. Based on this one, right? Based on this one. But it's not like this, not like this. Of course, when we look at one aspect, you might think that Abhidhamma, we don't need to learn Abhidhamma, right? We don't need to learn Abhidhamma. But, so when we consider all the aspects, I think it's good to learn Abhidhamma. So you have better understanding about the mind, right? About the mind. This is a mental process from Sutta Piṭaka.
So there's no neutral feeling for you when you see neither you like nor dislike.
Feeling, yeah, we have three types of feeling. Pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, neutral feeling. Everything. Normally, we see something, but we like it, right? Because it's pleasant. So it's a pleasant feeling. If the object is not unpleasant, not good, right? It's disgusting, then unpleasant feeling. So even though the object is pleasant or unpleasant, it doesn't make any sense to you. It doesn't make any difference to you, to your mind. That is a neutral feeling. So therefore,
so does that mean that the craving will not arise?
Actually, neutral feeling, delusion, right, will arise. Neutral, neutral feeling, that means you do not know the object very clearly. So therefore, neutral feeling. So if you do not know the object, that means delusion, right? Moha.
If the neutral feeling is, can it be equanimous feeling? Equanimous?
Yeah.
So if it's equanimous, then is it still, there's moha? If we have equanimous feeling, does that mean that we still have moha?
Question is, if we have equanimous feeling, neutral feeling, does it mean we don't have moha, right? Your question? Actually, I have explained. I must explain based on the underlying tendency. But here, according to here, depending on feeling, craving arises. Actually, it's talking about for normal people. For arahant, they don't have craving, right? They don't have craving. They still have feeling, but they don't have craving. So this mental process is talking about normal people, right? So to understand about feeling, so we have three types of feeling: pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, and neutral feeling, right? Neutral feeling. So if the object is attracting to us, whether the object is pleasant or unpleasant, here, our mind, right? Our mind will be very happy. Pleasant feeling in our mind, right? Pleasant feeling in our mind. Sometimes you might think that your enemy in the office get in trouble, feel very happy. Actually, what you see is not good, right? But in your mind, for you, it is a pleasant feeling, right? Pleasant feeling. So actually, it mostly, of course, based on the object, we have to decide, right? If the pleasant is good, pleasant feeling. If not good, unpleasant feeling. If good, likely to be to have a greed, moha, lobha. If unpleasant feeling, likely to become angry, to have a hatred, right? To have a hatred. But if the object is not clear, not attracting to you, if the object is not attracting to you, then likely to be neutral feeling. But if we have neutral feeling, it's likely to have delusion, because the feeling is not prominent to you. So therefore, when you are practicing meditations, you practice in breathing and breathing out, right? Breathing and breathing out. So if the object, in breath and out breath, is not clear to you, that means neutral feeling. So in those moments, delusion, because you do not know the objects, right? Delusion is underlying. So therefore, neutral feeling, and do not mix with the equanimous feeling. Equanimous feeling means, so therefore, I think even the word Pali, upekha, is a, how to say, really, how can I say, misleading. Therefore, we divide spiritual upekha and normal upekha, right? So normal upekha means neutral feeling or equanimous feeling. But spiritual upekha means, how to say, balance of the mind. You're trying to balance between good and bad, right? Stability of the mind. That is spiritual upekha or spiritual equanimous feeling, right? Okay. Yeah.
It's indifferent. Either I like the fact or I don't like the fact, or I don't have a suket, I don't need different suket. So you are.
Normally we say neutral, right?
You don't have the.
Yeah, of course. So actually, I have explained about neutral feeling, right? Indifferent. We can also use indifference, because sometimes, suppose in your office, one person will come to you. If you like that person, pleasant feeling, right? If you don't like that person, unpleasant feeling. But one person came in, it doesn't make any change, any different to you. So it's not to say that person, nothing to do with you. That indifferent, right? Indifferent, neutral feeling. You don't have either pleasant or unpleasant feeling, just neutral feeling. Maybe we can also use indifferent feeling. But if we use indifference, remember that is a mixed with the anger, right? Because you don't like, right? Indifference. Sometimes the neutral feeling is much better, I think. Neutral feeling. You got your point? Can I question? Huh?
Yeah, no. Actually, this is the Pali word.
Oh. Yeah. Neutral feeling is atokha masukha vedana, neither painful nor pleasant. It's quite clear. I mean, Pali Canon normally use this one: neither painful, neither pleasant or unpleasant. Right? Sometimes you see one person, pleasant feeling will arise, unpleasant feeling will arise. Sometimes neither pleasant or unpleasant, right? We call it neutral feeling, right? Neutral feeling. Okay.
One thing
No, I'm not saying that. Actually, here we are talking about normal mental process. But of course, if you're mindful, you see somebody or you see something. If you are mindful, delusion, hatred, greed cannot come in. If you are mindful all the time, if you are mindful 1 minute, 10 minutes, 1 hour, 1 day, there's no chance for delusion, no chance for greed and hatred. For that reason, we are meditating, right? So the reason why we are meditating is we are trying to develop, we are trying to grow mindfulness. Mindfulness. All the time mindful. So the mind arises, one mind moment arises at a time, at one time. So therefore, if there is mindfulness in our mental process, delusion, hatred, any negative mental state cannot come in, right? So that means if you're mindful, no delusion at all, right? No delusion at all. Okay, these are normal mental process, not the mental process of arahant, right? Not the mental process of arahant. Or not the mental process why you are mindful, why you are mindfulness, right? So this is the same thing. You have unconsciousness, insensitivity, that you have visible form object, and you have awareness. If you are D3, then contact. So here contact means mental contact, right? So if you have contact, feeling will arise. Then perception. Here, actually we're talking about perception. Sometimes we use feeling and perception together. But sometimes we separate, right? Here, actually, so when we learn about mental factor, you will see the word perception. After feeling, perception. Perception means you perceive in your mind who is that person, what is it, right? Your perception. So if you have perception, that person make me something annoying yesterday. This person make me trouble yesterday. Like this. A lot of perception, right? Then based on that you have a mental activities. Mental activities. Actually it's a different cognitive process. Actually according to the Sutta, unconsciousness based on I, form, awareness and contact. Based on contact, feeling. Based on feeling, craving. Right? Craving. So actually craving means nothing but mental activities. Our mind trying to do some activities. Right? That's a craving. So this is a cognitive process mentioned in Sutta Piṭaka. This is another one mentioned in another suttas, right? So when we look at this one, quite simple, right? Easy to understand. Easy to understand. Okay, so just let's learn about. Before we learn mental process in Abhidhamma, so you need to know about 6 sense base. 6 sense base. 6 doors. So they are called base. The reason is, so they are the physical seat where cognitive process is based. The mind arises depending on these base when it meets with the outside objects. I'm base. So we have I'm base and visible objects. So here we have a trapeze. So I'm base. I is internal one. The visible object is external one. Ear base and sound. Nose base, smell. Tongue base, taste, body-based touch, or heart-based mental objects. According to Buddhism, according to Abhidhamma, I will say, so the mind arises based on the heart, not from the brain. That is very important. So when you have a very deep concentration, you can experience it. A serious meditator, they understand. Any type of mind comes from here. Any type of mind. Especially emotional feelings based on the heart. So actually every type of mind based heart in the heart, right? Heart. So these are 6 doors. So we have to understand to know about the mind process. Circular life. So we use rebirth consciousness. Rebirth consciousness. So when we get this life, so we have one type of consciousness arises firstly. So that is called rebirth consciousness. The first type of mind in our life. So when you were born, when you get rebirth, in this life, so one type of consciousness is called rebirth consciousness, and the last one is called death consciousness. You die, the last thought moment, right? So it's called death consciousness. Between these two, rebirth consciousness and death consciousness, between when we are alive, so we have a lot of life continuance. So that is called bhavanga. That is called bhavanga. So you have to understand first. So these 3 are called Vittimoda. So which are nothing to do with mental process, mind process in this life. Nothing to do with. So they are occurring anytime, especially at this moment. So there are a lot of light continuing, a lot of bhavanga in our mind. It's nothing to do with normal mind process. Normally, when we see something, eye consciousness arises. So when we hear something, ear consciousness arises. But this light continuum is nothing to do with these mental process, because it's something to do with that we have done in the past life. So this occurs because of past life, past karma. So if we have done something good, so our quality of life continuum will be good. If we have done something bad in the previous life, or many more lives, right? So the quality of our life continuum will be not good, right? So actually these are called outer mental process. Outer mental process. Process free. Forgot the name. Process free. We call it process free. Vittimoda. Process free. The reason is we have been a lot of active process, mental process in our mind. Very active. We see somebody, we do not like that person. Anger, right? Very active. When we hear some song, very attractive. Here, very active. Our mind is very active, right? So these are called active process, mental process. But this in process-free mental process, they are not active. So normally they occur when we sleep, when we fall asleep. It is very obvious, right? So when you are sleeping, you do not know anything, right? Even though people are shouting just beside you, right? Even though people are, touching your body, you will not know, because the door is not open, right? By that time, light continues, a lot of light continues, very stable, right? It doesn't want any mental process regarding with the eye, ear, any other doors, right? Any other doors. Okay, I think you have to understand this one. Rebirth consciousness, the first consciousness that we have in this life. So the last one will be death consciousness. Between these two, light continues, a lot of light continuance. So it happens all the time. When I'm talking, when you are listening, a lot of light continue happen. So these type of consciousness are not active, very stable state. Now I explain with the example. This is the first consciousness, rebirth consciousness. Then between light continuance. Then after that we will die, death consciousness. This is a cognitive process, right? Cognitive process in brief. What is mind process? We call it mind process or active mental process. Number one, rebirth consciousness, the first consciousness in our life. Then we will have light continuing. Then we will have mind process. Mind process very very active. Very active. When we see something, our mind very active. When we hear something, very active. So therefore we use it, very. Then between 1 and 2 mind process, there is a light continuing mind process, light continuing mind process. Then at the end, we will die. Death consciousness. This is our cognitive process. Happen like this, right? Happen like this. So when we have light continuing, it's not active, very stable one. But when the cognitive mind process occurs in our mind, very active, just like here, right? With the mission with the red color, mind process. So our mind is happening like this. So to know about rootless Citta, rootless consciousness, you need to know this one. Otherwise, not clear to you, right? Not clear to you. The indoor process. Indoor process. I think I need to explain a little bit, elaborate, right? Elaborate. So as you know, we have rebirth consciousness, right? Then after that, we have a lot of light continuing. They are very stable state, right? Very stable. So first, you need to know is, so if we have a one mind moment, it will disappear. Another mind moment will replace. Then that will disappear again. Another mind moment will come again. Like this. It's going like this, right? It's going like this. So remember that we have a lot of light continuous. A lot of light continuance, right? Then I see somebody. Actually, when I see somebody, unconsciousness is going to come in, right? Going to come in. But in my mind, there are a lot of light continuance. A lot of light continuance. Stable, an active or a stable state of mental, mind, right? Mind. A lot of light continuance here. Then I see somebody, then unconsciousness going to come in. So therefore, the first one is called stream of Bhavanga. Bhavanga is a Pali, or light continuance. And then, do you know what is light continuance? Okay, you may not know it. It's a type of consciousness. So this is a very stable one, and it is very important in our life. Because of this, we are called sentient being. Because of that, we are alive, right? Because of that, we are alive. So actually, therefore, we call it Bhavanga. Bhava means life. Inga means the factor. So the factor of life. So here we use light continuance, right? Light continuance. So Here, stream of Bhavanga. This is stream of Bhavanga. It's going like a stream, right? Like a stream. A lot of Bhavanga here. A lot of Bhavanga here. Going like this. But I consciousness is going to come in, right? Going to come in. Past Bhavanga. Here, past me. When you run, right? You come into the room. You want to attend this class, so you are going too late. You are in the Amadi station. To catch the attempt, you ran to the Mangala Vihara, right? You try to run, right? But at the entrance, one of your friends is standing and trying to stop that person, right? Trying to stop you. That as you are running, right? Running with the force, but you cannot stop. You cannot stop at one where your friend is standing, but little bit past, right? Little bit past. So therefore, as there are a lot of Bhavanga, then I consciousness is going to come in. So therefore, because the force is very strong. The force is very strong. Therefore, it passed a little bit. It passed a little bit. So therefore, it is called past Bhavanga. Then after that, it will vibrate. Look at the example. You ran, right? Then you try to stop. You pass a little bit. Then your body shaking. Just like that. So a lot of Bhavanga, a lot of light continuum is happening. Very stable, right? Very stable. Now I consciousness is very active. So if the active state of mind is going to come in, a stable state of mind vibrate or shake, right? It's called vibrational Bhavanga. I think if you don't know, it's still okay. Just want to explain how mind process is, right? So I know when we learn the fourth chapter, I will explain in detail the meaning of those terms, right? The meaning of those terms. The arrest, Bhavanga. So that means stop functioning. So because another mind moment is coming, so therefore this Bhavanga have to stop, right? Then fight door switch. Fight door switch. Actually here Panchadwara. But here, actually from here, fight door switch. This is one of the rootless consciousness that we are going to learn. Start from here. Remember that, start from here, fight door switch. So this is rootless consciousness that we are going to learn. The door is somewhere that we go in and go out, right? Go out. It's compare. Actually, it's so I is compare as a door, right? Ear is compare as a door. But this consciousness, fight door switch, is the one who opened the door. Without fight door switch, you cannot see, you cannot hear, you cannot touch. You do not know touching, right? So when you are sleeping, somebody call you, you cannot hear, because fight door switch is not open. There is no switch open, right? So therefore, this is a very important one. So therefore, we call it fight door switch. Without opening this door, you cannot see, right? So this is the first rootless consciousness. Now after opening the door, I consciousness arises. I consciousness. Normally you may think that, so when you see somebody, you know right away. You may think that, not like this. There are a lot of mental process arises at that moment, right? At that moment. The door open, the I consciousness come in. Then after that, you will receive that object. You do not know what is it. You will see that object. You will receive that object. Then after that, you will investigate. What is it? Is it animal or human beings? Is it wine or okay? Like this, right? You will investigate. All these are called rootless consciousness. At this point, there's no greed, there's no hatred, there's no delusion. For that reason, we call it ahetuka, right? I think now a little bit you will have a understanding, right? So even at this point, there's no greed, no hatred, right? You see somebody, then you open the switch, then you receive it, then you investigate it. You will investigate. You determining. You determine, this is a lady, this is a boy, right? This is a animal, this is a tree, like this, right? You're trying to determine the object. So this determination also one of the consciousness, among the consciousness of 80 rootless consciousness, right? Even at this point, you don't have anger, you don't have hatred, you don't have delusion. So there was no root at the time. There is no compassion, no loving kindness elsewhere, right? So therefore, there is no any other root at that moment. So therefore, it is called ahetuka. Investigating, determining. Then after determining, so you will have javana to experience the objects. Javana means powerful force. You try to experience, you try to enjoy the object. You determine, this person is very nice to me, right? You try to enjoy. This person is not nice to me. You also enjoy, experience, blindfold with the force, full of force, hatred coming, right? So at this point, in javana state, you will have a lot of root, either good or bad, right? So this one, javana is called wholesome and unwholesome. You will have, if you have a right determination, right thinking, and you will have wholesome deed, wholesome root. So if you don't have if you don't have a right intention, unwholesome root, right? So actually from javana onward, it's not ahetuka, together with root. Then after that, you have registration. Bhikkhu body, you registration, you registered. I will not use, I don't like this one. Anyway, is a follow-up feeling. Follow-up, honestly. I will say that follow-up feeling. Follow-up feeling. Because the object is so strong that you try to enjoy. You try to enjoy, follow-up feeling. Then after that, stream of bhavanga again. Bhavanga coming, right? So up to 2 type of registrations. These are called mental process. Mental process. The stream of bhavanga is free. I want to say free process. Within moda. How you use? Okay, so these are mental process. How our mind is functioning according to Abhidhamma. According to Abhidhamma. Now let's look at this one. As you know, we have a idol consciousness. The first stream of bhavanga, a lot of bhavanga, right? Then after that, we got the force of mental process is so strong that so it passed bhavanga. It's a little bit past bhavanga, and bhavanga vibrate and stopped. stop here. Then after that, 5 doors switch. The door is open. The door is open. From 5 doors switch onward, they are called active process of consciousness. Active process of consciousness. They are active. 5 doors switch, then eye consciousness. So you will receive the object and you investigate it and determine what is it. Then after that you will enjoy fully. You will enjoy with the force. That's called jhana. And follower feeling, 2 follower feeling, 2 registration. Then after that, stream of bhavanga again. Stable state of consciousness. So these are mental process. So today what I want to say is, here from 5 door switch, pancha dwara we call it here, pancha dwara. Eye consciousness, receiving, investigating, determining, all these are called ahetuka, rootless consciousness. So that we are going to learn, because at that point there's no wholesome or unwholesome root. At that point we cannot call it wholesome deed or unwholesome deed. That's very important. That's very important, right? So therefore, ahetuka. But from jhana, after determining, you will enjoy with the powerful force. This can be wholesome and unwholesome deed, right? So if you like, if you determine, that's very good, that you will likely enjoy, right? Fully. It can be good and bad. If you do not like, you will enjoy the object fully as well, right? It is unwholesome deed. So this is mini process. I think you understand this one, right? You understand this one. Generally, duration of material phenomena lasts 70 mind moments. Normally, the lifespan of material phenomena, during one lifespan of material phenomena, there are 70 mind moments according to Abhidhamma. So that means mind is more quicker than 70 times quicker than the matter, right?
Is the feelings anywhere?
Feeling.
This process, yeah, feeling.
Or feeling. Actually, when you look at about feeling, I will say that investigating, and it will start from investigating, but not sure, because this is we call it Abhidhamma model, right? And if we compare with the the mental process that mentioned in Sutta Piṭaka, the feeling may arise, investigating, right? While we are investigating, there will be feeling, right? Feeling. Then determining. But of course, feeling will be prominent in jhana. So when we are fully enjoying the objects, feeling will be prominent, right? Prominent. So this is the Indo process. Any question? Okay.
Explain the death moment.
That moment, that consciousness. I think here I just use this one just to explain ahetuka Citta, and later what I will explain, because that consciousness we will explain in the 4th chapter. 5th chapter, not here, right? Not here. Any question? Of course, why not? We can do that. you try to switch.
So many.
You close your eye, right?
Yes.
You try to switch your door. Ear, of course, you can switch your ear as well. Turn, nose, the body, right?
That's Abhidhamma.
But for that, your mind must be very active. So when we are meditating, we close our eye, right? Normally. Switch. We're trying to switch off our eye. And even though there are a lot of noise outside, try not to pay attention to them. You try to switch off. You are not eating by the time. Also, you're not smelling, right? Of course, you will have a bodily sensation. But if your mind is actively doing, functioning, then your body switch will not also open. And only mind. That means mindfulness, right? Mindfulness. Of course, to separate from the body and mind, difficult. So only arupa jhana, you'll be able to switch off. The bodily switch, right? Switch off, body switch. Okay.
When you meditate, there comes a moment where it's very quiet, you don't hear anything, even so are you at the switching off level?
I would say that, so when you have only tranquility and peace at the time, you switch off all the doors, 5 doors. That means five doors. Only you switch on the mental switch. Mental switch. You know we have a five doors, right? 5 doors. You just open mental doors. Then I think no question. Then I will explain a little bit about mind door, right? Mind door. Because next week we will straight away we will go to learn Citta, right? Citta. The mind door process, not difficult. So we have a 2 types, clear objects and unclear objects. So when we think about someone, if that person appear in your mind, clear. But you have to try to imagine that person unclear, right? So here are clear objects. As usual, but here there is no paspavanga because mind is very powerful, right? So therefore, no paspavanga. Your bhavanga vibrate, as you know the stream of bhavanga, right? Stream of bhavanga. That mind process going to come in. For that reason, that stream of bhavanga vibrate, right? Vibrate. The utterance stop, arrest bhavanga. Then after that, mind door switch. Your mind also have to switch that door, right? Then after that, jhana, very quick, right? Jhana, powerful force. You think about jhana. So therefore, mind is very easy, right? When you think about one person, likely to have greed or hatred very quickly, right? Because of this one. Then after that, to registration. Then after that, stream of bhavanga. So this is a mental process. It's going like this, right? So mind door process, not difficult. If this is not very important, okay. So I think up to here, so we learned that. So here, to registration is not how to say. It is another type of consciousness. So here, jhana is wholesome or unwholesome, and here mind door switch is called ahetuka. At that moment, there's no root. Then only after that, jhana. In jhana state, of course, you have either wholesome or unwholesome root, right? For that reason, it's very important. Mind door switch is one of the consciousness among the 80 rootless consciousness, right? Any question?
Bhante, the arising of the causes will be when the mind will switch.
Causes.
Yeah, the arising of the causes will be at the mind will switch.
Arising of the causes, because something, suppose regarding eye consciousness, right? Eye consciousness, I have eye. This is one cause. Something to see, this is also another cause, right? Then eye consciousness. So there are a lot of causes. You mean by that, right?
The arising of the causes is start.
Arising of the causes.
This
Oh.
is arising and the cessation, right? So the arising will start from the mind will switch, and the cessation is at the registration.
Not like this. If we talk about one mind movement, suppose eye consciousness, right? Eye consciousness arise, right? Is subject to cease. Even itself arising and cessation, right? So actually, for those who have a deep meditation, they will understand all eye consciousness arises and disappear, arises, disappear, and any moment. Now, of course, normally we know that we was born and we die, right? Being born in this life is the first cause, right? Arising. Then death is cessation. It's a long process. But here we're talking about very short mental process. Very short, long life, short life mental process, right? I hope you understand, right? Actually, forget about all these names. So when you understand how our mind functions, more than enough. So we have to learn this one in the 4th chapter in detail, right? I will explain what is Bhavanga. So what is a 5 switch door like this. So otherwise here, no, you don't need to remember all these one, right? So if you remember how our mind is functioning a little bit, more than enough, right? Okay, so let's close our lessons. Announcement.
Next Friday is overnight chanting here. So Saturday the first.
Overnight chanting.
The difference is overnight chanting.
Oh, I may have to. It's okay. It's okay.
So got one. No announcement.
Oh, yes. Okay.
You want me to do the chanting?
Okay.
For this Saturday class as usual. Let's put your palms together.
Okay, you can.